so we can see each other and that you can actually hear all of us on a proper way. Also, during this first introductory speech, you are going to have some opportunity to write your questions on our active Zoom group chat. So please, if you have any questions, write them on a Zoom group chat so you can be asked to jump in our discussion and ask those questions by yourself. Also, one notice before we start: as you may see in your left corner, we are officially recording this event. So if you mind being recorded on this event, please, you are invited to turn off your camera. In that case, your video and picture won't show up on our video after we finish with this event. But in that case, I have to warn you that if you decide to turn off your camera, you won't be actually allowed to ask the question by yourself, but you will be allowed to write the question, and after that you are going to be your question will be read and announced. Hopefully you are going to have some additional time here to ask for any further information if you need some. This Zoom group chat is activated on your right side of the screen. And I think now is the time when we can officially start with the event, and to wish a warmly welcome to our today guest speaker, His Excellency Erikom Nelson from United States Embassy in Bosnia and Herzegovina. Your Excellency, thank you so much for your time. It is a great pleasure to have you here with us on board on this event.
Well, thank you for the invitation. It's a nice opportunity for me. In normal times, I spend a lot of time on the road trying to visit communities across the country, and I've always been interested in and frustrated too with how we can't get technology to help us improve our reach. So I'm glad you're organizing this and helping me learn how to do it better.
We're also learning from these opportunities. These are strange times for all of us regarding the pandemic and situation that locked us down actually in our homes and houses, apartments, but we are trying and doing our best to use this time on the best way and to connect more, to hear more from each other and to be each other's support in these difficult times and period. First of all, I would like to share with you a couple informations about who we are. So my name is Miloš. I'm from Cerebra NGO from Banja Luka that is organizing all of these events, and we are a local NGO that is actually trying to do more on a local level with the young people, the youth population, but also with all of those that are consider themselves as a youth. Also, we are trying to do a lot of initiatives, so local and regional level, but including other communities and parts of our country, especially focusing with the international cooperation and a lot of initiatives and projects and programs within Erasmus Plus program. Also, we were doing a lot through these past several weeks with this platform Coffee With, and hopefully there is going to be some more guest speakers in the following weeks. And it showed us some great results. Young people are really interested to hear more from foreign diplomats and representatives in Bosnia and Herzegovina. How do they see our position, our country, our culture, and our issues that we are facing on a daily basis. So as I said, my name is Miloš. I'm going to be moderating this event today. I'm program coordinator in Cerebra. It is my honor, and I'm really pleased to have you as a guest speaker, because we already had some chance lately, previous year in Banja Luka, to meet in person. And hopefully we are going to have this opportunity once again, once this situation ends, either in Banja Luka or in some other part of our beautiful country. So to start, also this is a special occasion because this is the first time that on this event we actually have one of the local communities representative. It is my honor also to wish a warmly welcome to Snežana Ružičić, municipality Jezero mayor, and she asked me for a few introductory notice also. So please, Ms. Ružičić, join us.
Hello, everybody. Today I have my Milica, and she translates for me because I don't never speak English very good. Želim da pozdravim sve učesnike ove diskusije, prvenstveno ambasadora Amerike, gospodina Erika Nelsona.
I want to say hello to all the participants, especially to the ambassador, Mr. Nelson.
Želim da se zahvalim na, evo da kažem, podršci opštini Jezero od Američke ambasade i prilikom dolaska gospodina Erika Nelsona u Jezero. Zaista izazvali smo veliku pažnju, kako medijsku, tako evo i svih prostora i svih kontinenta. Možda smo dobili priliku da se predstavimo, pa mogu slobodno da kažem, evo i na svjetskoj sceni kao jedna mala, izrazito nerazvijena opština u Bosni i Hercegovini.
I want to say thank you for supporting Jezero municipality to Ambassador Nelson because with his visit to our small municipality, it was a great promotion of and support to the municipality, and I think that whole world heard about this small municipality on that occasion.
Zbog mog dugogodišnjeg rada u nevladinom sektoru, slučajno sam juče popodne pročitala kao znatiželjna osoba koja uvijek traži neke informacije. Vidjela sam da se danas organizuje Kafa sa ambasadorom Nelsonom i stvarno sam poželjela i malo sam se uplašila da smo možda zakasnili sa prijavom, te se ovom prilikom mnogo zahvaljujem organizaciji Cerebra, koja je stvarno na jedan sjajan način približila mogućnosti u ovom vremenu da možemo da komuniciramo.
I accidentally saw the event, ad for the event, since I am in the NVOs for a long time, and I wanted to thank for this event to the Cerebra and to this opportunity to attend the event.
Drago mi je da ste svi zdravo u ovom neobičnom vremenu COVID-19.
I'm glad that you are all healthy in this unusual period of the COVID-19.
I pored gospodina Nelsona i Miloša, ja također pozdravljam mog Bobana, mog velikog prijatelja iz grada, koga poznajem od svih učesnika.
I would also like to say hello to Boban, who I know
iz grada. Da. Evo, ja bih stvarno, pored svih ovih zahvalnosti, da ne oduzimam vrijeme i ostalima koji trebaju da se predstave. Zahvaljujem se dakle na prilici da pričamo danas, ali ono što me jako interesuje jeste da li Američka ambasada planira određene aktivnosti i podrške lokalnim zajednicama u ovom vremenu borbe protiv COVID-a, kako bismo proveli određene događaje i, da kažem, evo, možda i edukovali naše stanovništvo kako da se borimo sa svim ovim pošastima ovog vremena.
Besides saying thank you, I would also like to ask if Embassy has some certain activities and projects to help local communities to fight against the COVID-19.
I ono što mi konkretno zaista zanima i voljela bih svakako da provedemo aktivnosti vezane za dešavanja koja se dešavaju u julu i avgustu 2020. godine. Znači, propratili smo vijest da se rover šalje i lansira na krater koji se zove krater na Marsu po jezeru i da taj rover slijeće u 18. februara 2021. godine i plan je bio da to provedemo kao neke određene aktivnosti na području opštine Jezero i da vidimo koliko bismo mogli sa Američkom ambasadom možda takve neke aktivnosti u ovom vremenu da provedemo, da budemo vidljivi, a opet zaštićeni u skladu sa ovim propisima koji se nalažu u borbi protiv virusa.
And what I'm interested in the most is the topic of rover that has to land on crater Jezero, Mars. It is planned that the rover launch on July 17th to August 5th of this year, and to land on the crater in February. And we have in plan some certain activities in Jezero, since the crater is named after our municipality. And we are curious if the embassy can somehow support us and give some examples of activities in this, because of the COVID-19, how we could plan that and
jer sve aktivnosti koje bismo proveli, u stvari moramo sad da imamo određene zaštite. Pa evo, sad smo i mi malo zbunjeni, mislili smo da pravimo neke biciklijade, trčanje, znači sve nešto da povežemo sa kretanjima rovera ka Marsu, da budu kretanje i uopšte jezero, ali sad nas je sve ovo malo zbunilo, tako da ne znamo, evo, tražim savjet, možda i vaše prijedloge kako bismo mogli eventualno nešto da organizujemo na području opštine jezera.
Hopefully we are going to have some additional time during our discussion for those questions and the opportunity for our guest to answer all of them. Thank you so much for these kind regards on our beginning. I'm going to start with the official part of the event right now. Your Excellency, once again, thank you so much for being with us here today. And as a matter of fact, we are trying to get rid of these kind of negative thoughts about this COVID-19 situation here. So I'm going to start with asking you, how are your feelings and impressions about Bosnia and Herzegovina so far that you're being ambassador here?
Well, that's two questions. One is, since I've been here, or what are my thoughts now that we're experiencing COVID-19?
Yeah, since you've been here in Bosnia and Herzegovina appointed as an ambassador of the United States, how would you actually describe Bosnia and Herzegovina?
So the way I describe Bosnia and Herzegovina, I read much in the many months before while I was preparing for this assignment, but I had not ever had the opportunity to visit the country before. So now being here for more than a year, my experience of the country, I would describe my biggest revelations were experiencing and getting to know the talent of the people. I think that I was always impressed with the diversity of this country, that you have three ethnicities and others who have been living together for centuries, usually peacefully, sometimes not, and with tragic results. But that kind of diversity is not shared by every country. It's something that's shared by the U.S., in which the U.S. very much finds as a strength. And I see that as a strength also for Bosnia and Herzegovina. And when I meet young people, I am very impressed with their, first of all, their command of English and their good preparation, using the education they're getting to try and make a difference in their community. There's a lot of reasons to be discouraged in Bosnia and Herzegovina with the level of corruption, with the lack of opportunity, with the slow progress toward the EU. But I've been inspired meeting the entrepreneurs and the mayors and the young people who are saying, I don't want to hear excuses. I want to know what I can do to make my community better, to help my future and to help the future of my country. So that's a surprise to find in a country that's had a troubled past, that there is a tremendous reserve of talent and a inherent strength of the people here of resiliency and adaptability. And I think that's really become very apparent as you see the country adapting to surviving the COVID-19 crisis.
Thank you so much. Yes, as we maybe noticed from the previous coffees that we were implementing here with your fellow colleagues and other ambassadors, there is this notice that each one actually of you can notice a lot of talent out here in this area and in our country. We all actually know that the United States Embassy is putting a lot of effort and encouraging all of us here to do more and supporting young and talented people on so many different ways through so many different projects and programs, funding within the NGO, youth sector, youth organizations, And this is really a significant support because we can agree and we can actually be quite sure that NGOs and youth sector would be in a huge trouble if there is no any kind of, let's say, foreign support from the side of the embassies, because local initiatives and initiative of the domestic politicians and the institutions is on a very, very low level. So in sense of speaking of this whole crisis within the COVID-19 situation and NGOs and youth sector, let's say in some kind of danger, how would you maybe describe, or what would be maybe some next steps for the support for young and talented people in this country?
Well, one of the next steps is a new program that we've launched last year called BOLD, BiH omladinski lideri. And it's a new program for us that's based on leadership development programs that we started in Southeast Asia and in Africa and elsewhere. But we modified it to focus only on BiH. And what it does is it gives us an opportunity to bring more attention to the work we're already doing, investing in youth. Since the embassy here opened more than 25 years ago, we've sent more than 4,000 people on exchange programs. So we send hundreds every year. We wanted to broaden the opportunity. So BOLD is kind of a capstone for all of that different activity and brings it together into a broader concept of putting out a call to any youth, young people between 18 and 35 here in the country who want to make a difference in their community, want to make a difference in their future. And the program will do that by offering them grant opportunities, offering them training, and also letting them compete for fellowships in the United States. Two types, entrepreneurship and civic engagement. So I'm really excited about BOLD. We've already had nearly 1,200 people sign up, and we've had local training programs. We just had a competition for grant proposals to respond to COVID, and we had 150 proposals, out of which we selected 5. So again, it's amazing what young people here are interested in doing, and they want. I enjoy talking to all of the BOLD fellows because they don't. It's a different conversation than the ones I usually have in Bosnia and Herzegovina, where people often say that the international community should do this, or the high rep should do that, or Dayton's a problem because it needs to be fixed because it has a number of flaws. When I talk to the young people who are interested in BOLD, they say, well, I want to know, I want you to help me make a difference. So they're not looking for other people to blame. They're just saying, how can I make a difference? And that's tremendously encouraging. And that's what this country needs. And that's what we want to empower people who want a better future, but are saying, I don't want a better future by leaving for the EU or leaving for Australia or leaving for the US. This is my country and I love it. And I want it to be a better place. Can you help me?
Exactly. And that's the kind of spirit that we can feel in this area a lot. Yes, BOLD program is a great platform and a great program. I also signed up for it. And as I can see on these early beginnings, that there's a huge potential in all of that community. And thank you again for recognizing the potential of young people and asking them for opinion, because the future of this country lies in all of us. I was also in a kind of opportunity and chance through J1 student program, work and travel to be abroad in the United States and to work there and to come back here. After that, I have to be honest and to say that I was expecting too much from my country, because my country, I really missed my country. I missed my people, and I missed my city. But after I came here, I don't know why and I don't know how, but I felt a bit depression, because I was feeling that there's so many issues that I would really be happy to how to say to deal with and to solve, but lack of support, unfortunately. And this is the part where actually all of you are coming and giving us enthusiasm and opportunity to work more and to be engaged from the lower level of our community and society, municipalities, cities, to grow on. What next? I would be interesting to hear more from you, maybe some kind of personal feedback or experience for all of those in this chat and group that are interested in the diplomatic service. How is it actually? How does it feel? How does it look to be ambassador? What does it actually mean for you?
Well, first I want to just remark on your comment about when you came back, and it was a bit depressing to come back with high hopes and realize and maybe feel a bit despondent. I think one of the keys there is to really try and find other people who are like-minded, because those who have a broader view and have just really are aware of their potential, and those kind of overseas experiences really open your mind to what is my potential. You need to find each other, and you need to encourage each other, and you need to support each other, because you may not get that support from your family, you may not get that support from your community, because a lot of people are jaded. And so reaching out to others who are like-minded is really part of, I think, overcoming that sense of powerlessness and despondency. There's no doubt that you're a minority, but you're a strong minority of people who are thinking about the possibilities. And it's important to keep that flame alive. Regarding diplomacy, for me, diplomacy has been a lifelong calling. I have loved it because I love the challenge of learning new languages, of finding agreement, of finding commonalities and not just identifying differences. Finding the commonality to me is something that excites me. And that's what diplomacy is about. You can get stuck on where the differences are, or you can focus on, yes, but this is what we agree on. So let's solidify that and grow that and move forward. So I've really enjoyed my career of 30 years in diplomacy for those reasons. It was an unusual choice for someone who studied engineering, but I had experience early on living overseas and working overseas, and I wanted to continue that. And my diplomatic career has been very rewarding.
As you mentioned, and as you said, that it is quite challenging. Of, for example, learning new languages. We are all familiar with your actually first message prior to your appointment here, when you actually send a message on our language here, saying that you're looking forward being here in our country and cooperating with all of us, and it was a great sign of a new friendship, I would say. So regarding that challenge, how would you grade yourself, maybe on a scale of 1 to 5 or 1 to 10 regarding our local languages? How is your improvement going?
I would give myself a 1 plus.
Oh,
it's very difficult. I still study, but I don't practice enough, and but I think it's really important, and I keep trying, because I find that the language is an important way to understand how people think. Yeah. Just when sometimes I'll come across a word and and think there's no same word in English, or there's no local language equivalent for the English, and that's important to help understand. Well, how do people think of these things? So, for me, the language is very important, and but it's a struggle. I still speak Italian and Spanish and German, and I already have trouble keeping them separate. But I think it's a fascinating language. And when my mother was living, I would practice a little bit with her. She spoke Slovak, and it was surprising how much she could understand of it. So it was a fun puzzle for her to listen, and we would compare vocabulary.
Yeah, in each case, please feel free to text us at any time if you need maybe some practice regarding our languages here. We will be happy to help. Not to turn all of this conversation into our private event, I would now start with asking some of our friends and participants of this discussion to jump in and to ask their questions. So,
shall we start with the mayor? Shall I answer her questions?
Yeah. If there is any need, we can ask her maybe to repeat the questions one more time, or?
No, I took note.
Perfect. Floor is yours.
So anyway, we will start with Madam Mayor. It's just great to see you again online. I had a chance to visit Jezero last year because we went and presented a certificate to the community certifying that NASA had chosen the name for the destination of the Mars rover from the name of Jezero in Bosnia and Herzegovina. And so I was there for a nice event with students from Jezero and from Jajce and from Mrkonjić Grad. And when we see the rover, as she mentions, landing in July, it'd be nice to have some kind of event around that. And I think what we need to do is start thinking now is how to make that a virtual event. First of all, it's going to be virtual from Mars anyway. So regardless of COVID restrictions, let's think about how do we make this an event that everyone in Bosnia and Herzegovina can participate in. So we'll have to think about that. Regarding local communities' responses to COVID-19, we don't have at this point any specific opportunities other than the small grants we're offering through BOLD, but we are looking at all of our programs and how they will adapt to the COVID-19 requirements. There's going to be a lot of opportunity coming ahead with the investments that will be made by the EU and the IMF and some of the loans that we're going to need a lot of cooperation from mayors and the prime ministers to support good investments and good reforms to help the economy bounce back quickly. So there's a lot of work on the horizon.
Yeah, thank you so much for the answer. I would now ask our friend, he is with us, I guess, Mario Cenkovic. He had a question, so Mario, if you can hear me, please, you can now unmute yourself and... Okay.
Thank you. Hello, Ambassador. Hello, everyone. I have one question. As we all know, decision makers in Bosnia and Herzegovina definitely don't do enough to preserve the environment. What do you think? What is the key to solving this problem? And by the way, as a part of the BOLD program, I would like to admire how things are going so far. Thank you.
Thank you. So the question is how to protect the environment. I think that first of all, that's very important for BiH, because one of your advantages in Europe is that you are such a green country, that you do have this reserve of forests and beautiful rivers, and the opportunity to degrade those and to through pollution and lack of care is serious. So it's important for the politicians to address the protection of the rivers and the forests. I think that, though, it's even more important for citizens themselves to think about what they can do. And as you travel around the country, you see a lot of litter, for example, which again comes from poor landfill management, but also from just people not being careful about garbage. And so one of the things that the embassy is sponsoring right now is we're working with the NGO Ruke, and they have a initiative called Eko Izazov. And they are encouraging, the goal is to have 25,000 citizens engaged in one way or another to make Bosnia and Herzegovina more beautiful. So there are prizes, and it's a contest, whether it's school classes organizing, work groups doing this, or community groups getting out there and doing something to make this country more beautiful. It starts at the right in front of your house. It starts in your neighborhood. It starts down by the creek that runs nearby. So Eko Izazov is one way to challenge people. Just get involved, make a difference, do something, because that's where it all begins. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We have this virtual like here. Thank you, Mario. Okay, I'm going to ask Sarah now to ask the question, but before that, I may also connect one of my questions to this one, because, for example, I have a lot of friends asking me about the visa procedures and appointment in this period of pandemic, as they were about to go on abroad on work and travel programs. So what can they expect would be my part of question, and now I would give the floor to Sarah about her question. It's regarding the academic fellowship. Sarah?
I want to say hi to everyone, and thank you, Ambassador, for being here and for listening to our questions and trying your best to reply to all of them. My question is regarding the project of U.S. Embassy, the Bull, and one of its fellowship on Institute on Civic Engagement. We've both been selected, and it hasn't been cancelled, but we are wondering if it would be able to, if would we be able to participate and go and get visa in times like this. We are also listening to the news every day, and there are some rumors online and on the news that some of the U.S. schools, or most of them, will not fully open until the next year. And so I want to hear your opinion on that. Thank you.
Well, right now, we are, I think we are shut down for visa processing through May 31st. And we'll have to see, we'll be awaiting guidance from Washington about how that is resumed, and that will impact then how, whether any of the exchange programs are postponed. We had to bring back most of the exchange participants and send them back. We had US participants here as well. So that was a big resorting of repatriating people both ways across the Atlantic. That took us a couple weeks to get organized to make sure that everybody was safe at home with their families. We don't have any postponements yet. We're continuing with planning, and we're just going to have to see how the restrictions continue and how what is possible going forward with the exchange programs. I think that, and I know that we'll be looking at as well, how much of the program will we be able to offer online as well? When we look at the best universities in the US are already offering classes online. We may need to think about doing more of that ourselves. It's not as the same rich experience as going and being in Chicago or being in Nebraska or being in New York, but it's still helpful. And we have to think about what we can do and not just postpone until we don't know when. So we're continuing planning, but we're also thinking about how we're going to adapt the programs. The summer work travel program, again, is we don't have any instructions yet to pull that down. Hopefully that can still launch. And I just encourage everybody to stay tuned for updates. Stay tuned on our website, checking our website to see what's happening there, along with the program managers. The diversity visa is still on track. It's just, it was pushed back 30 days. So we're hoping for return to business more as usual. Unfortunately, we can't predict yet when that will be. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm going to invite also one of our friends from Kult Institute from Sarajevo, Katarina Vučković. She is also with us. Katarina, if you hear me, please jump into this discussion.
Thank you, Miloš. Good everybody. Your Excellency, it's good to see you here as well. It's very, very good to see that also American Embassy Ambassador find time to actually use this opportunity to talk to young people across country. Well, I'm interested in a couple of things, but I will try to keep it short since we also invited you for a coffee. Before the COVID, actually, we had a chance to talk about it. So let's hope we will manage that as well. First of all, I'm also very happy to see Cerebra doing this ongoing, and it's not stopping, and it's basically a bit of our school, so I'm happy for that. But two questions. One is maybe more important for all of us is like, what are the priorities? Also taking in consideration the COVID-19 situation of embassy when it comes to youth issues in Bosnia and Herzegovina, especially with the brain drain and how the embassy sees the priorities for young people in this country. And the other one is rather more practical, since there is a number of youth leadership programs in the country being done by local organizations or organizations such as Kult. I was wondering, and I'm sure your team is working on it, but how much BOLD is complementary to what happens in the field, and how we can cooperate rather more with the leadership programs that are already existing in the country for young people. So how can BOLD be useful for these leadership programs, and how these programs can be useful for BOLD? So those are the two questions. Thank you.
So regarding what are the priorities of the embassy for youth as we look at the COVID-19 response, I think of several. One is that we are hoping that elections will be conducted this year with minimal delay, and we hope that those elections will be measurably better than previous elections. There's a lot of recommendations about how election conduct here needs to be improved. Some of those at least can be done administratively by the CEC. So we're consulting with the CEC and with the OSCE and others and NGOs about how that could be, what's that going to look like this year. Be a challenge, but it can't be an excuse for postponing them arbitrarily or not making improvements. So, of course, to get started, we need a state budget. And every opportunity I have, I remind leaders, get that state budget done so that CEC can get to work. And then with youth, I always remind them, oh, well, you have to get out and vote and encourage your friends to vote because that's what makes a difference. And if politicians here aren't held accountable at the ballot box, then there's no hope for progress toward what you want as young people. And in terms of what young people want, what I hear is they want a better future. And they want a better future that looks more like what their neighbors in the EU and in NATO member countries have, where rule of law is important, where corruption is less important for how to get a job or how to get a good education, where you advance based on your skills, not by just because of who you know, where you have more opportunity. So there is a lot of potential to start making progress on that path. And this is a year, I think, for no more excuses on what does it take to start passing reforms that begin to transform Bosnia and Herzegovina into an EU candidate. And I have no doubt that that can happen. That will require people to come together and agree, again, on what can they agree on, and try to set aside the things that we're nowhere near agreement on, which are important, but maybe an agreement that we're going to be able to address in 2, 5, or 10 years. The progress has to begin now, and the blockades and the obstacles have to end. So that's why I think it's very important that that leadership starts to focus on what did the EU opinion say and what can we start doing. And then also with the economic reforms, there will be billions of dollars coming into the country to help respond to the economic impacts of COVID-19. That money is going to come with conditions. And conditions like beginning to improve the management of the state-owned enterprises, conditions like improving the business environment, which begins with simple things like passing e-signature laws. So there's a lot of things that can be done here that need to be done to open up the economy and to open more opportunity. So those are two of the top priorities that I think particularly impact youth. The other question about BOLD and all of the different leadership programs and support and opportunities here is, I think you're right that there is a lot of overlap. And BOLD is something that we started as an idea. And our idea was to build more of a community among our grant participants and exchange participants. And I think that it's important. So we're trying to figure out how to make that community more powerful. One of the ways we're thinking about, which we still have to figure out, is how to bring engaged mentors to help young people who are wanting to get ahead. But I also think that it's a community that doesn't have boundaries. It's not just who is participating in the U.S. Embassy projects. It's about who's in Erasmus, who's working with Mosaic, who's working with Colt and Cerebra, all these different opportunities. I think that no matter what, if we increase awareness of what are the different opportunities, people will come and go. Not everyone will get a chance in BOLD, but they may get learn about an opportunity from LONATS and get help from LONATS, or it's just a big ecosystem that we need to think about all those connections. So we'll be thinking about that more and more, and we'll be wanting to hear ideas from you and other partners about how do we begin to build that more vibrant ecosystem.
I totally agree with this, because I also see young people coming and going through different leadership programs, and including BOLD. And I think we need to use the opportunity for each individual and opportunities as such, but also for better understanding of the communities where young people are coming from, and for improvement of the communities. So in this sense, I'm very open to talk with your team working on BoLD, how we can collaborate rather more.
And I think one of the most important challenges and one of the most important things we can do is just talk about what's happening. Because when you read the media here and you listen to politicians, you don't get a sense that things are going very well. You know, media in every country likes to report on the negative. And so there are great, cool things happening. There are positive things happening. There are entrepreneurs here starting businesses. There are people coming back from the diaspora to start a business, and they're succeeding. It's amazing. And so BoLD and all these other programs, I think one of the important benefits is that they just raise awareness and people realizing it's not all bad, it's not easy, but good things are happening, and yes, you can make a difference.
Thank you so much. Regarding all of these, the answer, especially one regarding the economics and a lot of efforts that will be put into the action in a future period as a response to COVID-19 crisis. I just have to mention that please, this is also a great opportunity to invite you personally, but also the embassy and other friends and ambassadors that are talking to us and being part of this event, that in us as a young people, as a potential of this country, in us as a NGO sector, you have a great partner, I would say, for all of the activities and for all of the programs that you are about to implement. And I think that is the kind of connection that we have to nurture here for our great goals in future, and with our cooperation and these kind of activities, talking, discussing, making new ideas, we're actually making a huge step toward the progress, and we are kind of not even aware of it, maybe in this situation. I would move on some of the next questions. There are a lot of questions, unfortunately, as we have a limited time on 60 minutes of this event. Some of them won't unfortunately get answered, but that's exactly why I asked our today's guest to be our guest on some live coffee with event, maybe in Banja Luka or in Sarajevo in some future time. So I would now call Jasmina Banja Lučkić. She is from Youth Council of Federation of Bosnia and Herzegovina, cooperating also with us, the umbrella organization of youth in Republic of Srpska, as I'm part of governing board. And it's not kind of strange that we're asking a lot of these youth-related questions out here. Hopefully you can understand it. So Jasmina, please, the floor is yours now.
Thank you, thank you, Your Excellency, for deciding that this afternoon will be dedicated to young people of Bosnia and Herzegovina, taking coffee without coffee, let's say, at the moment. I have a question regarding, of course, like decision makers. I'm a bit motivated for this question, especially because Ms. Snežana Ružičić, that is mayor, is here with us. My question is for you, how do you see actually dialogue between youth and decision makers in Bosnia and Herzegovina? Are we doing enough in this sense? Like, for example, in Federation of Bosnia and Herzegovina, only 9 communities, local communities, are involving young people in decision making through youth commissions. And that's the result of our analysis that we did, like we published them like yesterday. And they were really disappointed about it. So we are thinking like, how actually can we, okay, we are introducing like the mechanisms that are existing to decision makers in local communities, but is there something else that we can do in order to motivate decision makers to involve young people in making decisions especially those decisions that are really important for themselves. Thank you.
That's a really good question, and I don't have a I don't think I have a great answer, but I have one idea, and that is that, you know, last week the presidency announced that they're endorsing this idea of a EU action plan, and that the EU came back with an opinion on BiH's candidacy for membership. And the opinion had 14 main points. And that was released last May, and hardly anybody talked about it. And there's very little response from political leadership about what does it mean or how are we going to begin to address this. And so I was encouraged that the presidency endorsed this idea because it recognizes that this government has until 2022 to get anything done. And they have to get something done, or another 3 years will have passed and there will have been no progress. There will just be more standoffs and there will just be more brain drain. And eventually the country's going to come to, be running on empty because the talent will keep leaving. So, there are a lot of, I saw a lot of comments from people saying, oh, this isn't going to work. It's more empty promises. But I think it's different because it creates a process that introduces more accountability, in that every month the Council of Ministers has to report back to the presidency on what's the progress. Every month. And every institute, it recognizes that every institution has to play a part. The Council of Ministers, the Parliament, both houses, the entities. So it tries to bring everybody together and say, you have an important part of this, including the opposition and including civil society. So civil society needs to play a very important part in this, in trying to look at what are we really discussing here? What is each of the steps on those 14 points that needs to be made, and start to maybe have broader discussions and explain better to young people and to citizens, what are we talking about here? And to make it more apparent in that process, make it more apparent to decision makers, well, what do young people want? So I think that I hope that the NGOs and civil society will see an opportunity here to get more specific and to talk about some of these issues. Some of them are as banal as public administration reform. What does that mean? And to create more urgency so that decision makers really realize citizens do care about this, and because they need a big push to go against the status quo and upset some people who are benefiting from the old way that business gets done here.
Thank you so much. As we are kind of running out of time, and the time always passes really fast when we are in a good company, I would ask the question from Mia Ružičić. She wrote to me on this Zoom group chat, but I will connect it a bit more to one of our questions and to make it somehow kind of a conclusion of this whole event. So she's wondering how to encourage young people more to be active in a local community, as she is having the experience of encouraging and working with them in her local community. And before that, for a full 21 years, there was no activism at all in this small municipality of Jezero. So I would maybe connect this question, so how to include and empower young people more on a local level to be active part of the community, maybe to link it with your experience from United States. How it is actually done in United States? How are young people maybe being involved in a local issues there? What are the similarities or differences?
Well, I think in the U.S. it's very much grassroots oriented, in that people don't look to the government to so much to come up with ideas for how to engage youth. Although we do have some very good programs like Peace Corps and Teach America that give great opportunities for young people to have really meaningful volunteer experiences. But I think that it's important for I think local leaders like the mayor can continue to encourage us just by demonstrating that she thinks it's important, and by encouraging this kind of engagement in a way that is very much community oriented. It's not about advancing one person or one group over another, but it's about advancing the community and reaching, as she has done, across the interentity boundary line to work with the mayor nj.e. about how to take care of the river that they share. And that's, I think, gets people motivated. It gives people more hope. It makes them feel like they're making a difference, and not that they're just in it for themselves or for some quid pro quo. So I think encouraging that kind of community engagement for the good of the community, and there's a lot of opportunity now that COVID has reminded us that if we're not coming together, we're not going to survive, because we're facing a threat that does not discriminate on ethnicity or geographical location. So if we don't think more in a united fashion, we'll be defeated.
Exactly, for sure. At least I think that in our organization we are about to try to implement some of these suggestions that you said right here. As I mentioned, we are a bit running out of time, even though we have some questions still ongoing. But as I said, we will have to leave them for some other opportunity. For the end of this meeting and discussion, I would invite my friend. It is my duty as a part of a team. Miloš Blagojević, he is president of governing board of NGO Cerebra from Banja Luka. Miloš, if you can hear me, please say hello.
Hello, Your Excellency. Thank you for accepting this invitation to be with us to speak with young people. I have two questions. I read that you are a big fan of using information technology, and you got a lot of awards. And can you just your personal opinion? How do you see using information technology in Bosnia and Herzegovina from the local level, like politicians and local government? And one personal question, it's are you fan of soccer, football, baseball, hockey, or basketball?
Well, let me take the second question. Actually, I'm not really a sports fan. I used to be an American football fan, but having lived overseas for so many years, I've just lost touch. So that's one of the things that I've kind of missed out on. But I've really enjoyed going to Zenica and seeing the national team. I've been able to do that twice, and I hope to do that again and again. So regarding tech and how it's used in Bosnia and Herzegovina, I think that right now it's an important moment for everybody to realize how important technology is for keeping us connected, keeping many of us productive through the COVID-19 restrictions, but also going forward, how important it'll be for the resilience of any institution and the resilience of any economy. So hopefully, and I was speaking to the RS Minister for Science and Technology last week about this, because asking him, what are you thinking? What's coming next? What are you interested in? Because if Bosnia and Herzegovina starts to think about how important technology is for its economic health going forward, it needs to make some smart decisions now to position itself better so that people can have better job opportunities. So I think COVID-19 has been a good marker for that, to open people's eyes to how important tech will be. For me, it's been very useful because, you know, when I've traveled around the country, for example, I've had bold meetups, and people will travel into Bijeljina or Banja Luka just to talk to me. But then they say, you know, but I live in Srebrenica, and, you know, how can I be better connected? So I think that all of this and even today's event is useful for us to think about how we can all connect much more effectively no matter where we're sitting. And hopefully that brings more opportunity to even the smallest communities, hopefully addressing then as well that every community has decent connectivity and people have access to devices as well. And then the other thing about tech that's really important now is transparency. So one of our big campaigns in the embassy is to try to fight corruption. It's bad for Bosnia and Herzegovina. It's bad for business. It's bad for American business. American businessmen can't compete in a corrupt environment. And so that's why we care. That's one of the reasons we care about the, corruption. And as you start to read these stories about how these emergency procurements turn out to be problematic or questionable, you realize how important technology is for tracking all of the business of government. And so transparency and the way the technology brings transparency to government functioning is really important. And the CEC, for example, is now, with OSCE's support, is going to start putting their meetings online so that everybody can see what they're doing. Banja Luka has an effort to digitize the city's operations so that you can citizens can observe more. What is the city council doing? So technology is very important for government and how it's accountable to citizens.
Thank you so much. Regarding this question about the sports that you previously mentioned about the American football, I will use the opportunity to say that during my work and travel program in New Hampshire, there was a FIFA World Cup ongoing, and we were all from our city, you know, cheering for these regional teams, Croatia, Serbia, etc. And, you know, like during our working hours, we were exiting the kitchen to look on the screen, what's the result, things like that. And one of the guys from the kitchen, he was really mad at us because we were, you know, like going out and in and things like that. So in one moment, he was passing behind our backs and he said, listen, guys, there's only one football in the world, and it's American one. So that's about the football on the globe level.
Yeah.
Thank you so much once again. We are unfortunately out of time. This was a great 1 hour and several minutes of conversation and discussion here. It was a great honor and pleasure of having you here as a guest speaker. Once again, from the bottom of our hearts, thank you. You have the friends in all of us, and we are really dedicated and passionate about all of the projects and programs that we are about to develop, hopefully in our near future. Once again, thank you, and stay safe, be positive and stay negative, how they say these days. If you have any final message for all of us, so we can conclude with it.
Well, to Srebra, thank you for the opportunity today. This is my first coffee chat, and I hope to do it again. I hope that soon I'll be announcing a LinkedIn Live for both participants. So I look forward to getting that out. Some of you are already following me in LinkedIn. That is that's my preferred social media space, because it's great to connect with people who are, and find out what people are doing. Not just, I mean, people are more serious there, and they're acting like professionals. And that's part of where I hope we can build this community of like-minded people. So I look forward to staying connected with you all, and I thank you again for the opportunity today.
Thank you once again. Thank you. Thank you all for being here with us. This was our newest edition of Coffee with. We were having a pleasure to discuss and to talk more with His Excellency Erikom Nelson from U.S. Embassy in Bosnia and Herzegovina. Please do follow us on our social networks, and we'll be staying in touch for any kind of initiatives, ideas that you have. Feel free to write us, and we are going to be here as your partner and friends on local, regional, national, and international level. Thank you once again. Wish you all a good day. Bye.
Hvala svima. Doviđenja.
Hvala, prijatno.